Hey guys, Bloody Jacob here to finally bring you my very late review of The Joker, or just Joker, which just came out this year, and it's being widely talked about, widely successful. And I thought it was time to finally get my thoughts out there. I actually seen it, very, very soon after its release, the day of actually, back on October 4th. But I just saw a lot of things going on. I've been watching a lot of things, and I have kind of fallen behind on my videos. I realize that, but I did at least want to get my thoughts out there on it at some point. Since oddly enough, or not oddly enough, but basically it's still a pretty present discussion with how people feel about this movie, and there's a weird, kind of misplaced bit of controversy around it as well, which we'll talk a little bit about. This isn't going to be an overly long video. I think maybe 5 to 10 minutes, because it is late when I'm recording this. You guys know how that goes with me. But yeah, so The Joker. Forever alone in a crowd, failed comedian Arthur Fleck seeks connection as he walks the streets of Gotham City. He wears two masks, the one he paints for his day job as a clown, and the guise he projects in a futile attempt to feel like he's part of the world. Isolated, bullied, and disregarded by society, Fleck begins a slow descent into madness as he transforms into the criminal mastermind known as the Joker.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here. Yeah.
And yeah, that was Google's synopsis right there. I thought I'd give like a basic idea better than I would. But yeah, it's don't get this mixed up. There are still probably people going to this that have some kind of notion, oh, it's a comic book movie, right? So it probably has a lot of action. It's not too complex or anything like that. But no, Joker is a very different kind of movie. Like if it wasn't based on some version or interpretation of the Joker, it would probably just be a straight, drama or crime drama, thriller or something like that, But yeah, this isn't like Suicide Squad or anything like that, by the way, as much as Jared Leto might want it to be. Even though Warner Brothers has screwed over, many people. But we don't need to get into that discussion right now. This is a very real look at, I think, what this kind of man could be that could eventually become the Joker. Now, does he? You can find that out for yourselves. I still feel like I shouldn't spoil it completely. Joaquin Phoenix, he is just excellent in this movie, to say the least. I mean, there's nothing I can say about him that someone hasn't already said before over the past month or two. But he is very, very good in the role. Any of his little mannerisms, the way he speaks, apparently even the way he portrays Arthur's condition of laughing uncontrollably when he's under stress or sadness or something like that. People just don't understand it and they take offense to it and stuff like that. There's someone who actually has that real condition that I've seen that actually said it was pretty accurate. Joaquin Phoenix does really well with the role. The movie's shot well. And it is depressing to an extent. I mean, I went and seen it with a old friend from high school, and still a good time. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like one of those buddy movies. Haha, look at that! Yeah, man, yeah. It wasn't like that. It was like looking at each other once in a while, going, or different things like that. It was a very interesting watch, though. It's it's hard to compare to like other big comic book movies and stuff like that, because it's very different. It's basically taking one of the most iconic characters in comic book history, the most famous comic book villain in comic book history, I think we can say that, and basically again taking a real look at him as if he actually existed in this world, or in ways he could. I think there's something of Arthur Fleck in all of us, in terms of how we're sort of molded by the world we live in and our conditions and such. I think it's very, very accurate and realistic in that sense as well. And it's it's a good psychological side to it as well. The way things play out, it is a slow burn. There are going to be some people that are going to get bored of this movie, whether they wanted, an action, madness extravaganza or what. Excuse me, I've seen people, people say they knew what kind of movie was going into it, but they still got bored and they still wanted like a big over-the-top comic book Joker by the end of it, and they didn't, quite get that in the most basic sense. But, I understood, what they were going for going into it, and in that way it did not disappoint. I don't think it really disappointed at all too much. Now, I don't think it's a movie you want to watch like over and over again necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that do, just because again of how psychologically interesting it is and how gripping Joaquin Phoenix's performance can be. By the way, I'm wearing a Joker shirt right now because, of course. But this isn't like a Marvel movie that you're gonna plop in and play in the background or something. This is one you need to sit, watch, focus. I could see me watching this a couple more times over. Just again to see just different little parts of his performance or different things in the background or something. It's not one you can just kind of casually watch, in my opinion. Definitely worth buying, I think. If I had to rate it, Robert. Well. Before we get to the rating, it is very much a Joaquin Phoenix show. The other actors don't really have much to do, and that's not really discrediting them or the movie. It's just very focused on what they're going for. But Robert De Niro, he has a good presence as always. He's a charismatic actor, been around for decades. Then you have Zazie Beetz as a neighbor of Arthur's in the apartment, as well as Frances Conroy, who plays his mother. They're all fine. They all fit, but there's really not much more to say about them besides that. Again, just because of how honed in on Arthur it is, and I really wouldn't have it any other way for the kind of movie that it's meant to be. If I had to rate in the finale, the climax is very good. It fits with the tone of the film, which is very gritty, very realistic, like I said. It goes for it by the end. It's not like it's not like oh boom 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 or anything like that in a traditional sense. But when it picks up and it really goes for the gears and pushes it, it feels like a natural sort of result into a version of again what this guy could be in our world. So if I had to rate Joker, I'm giving it somewhere within the 90s, for sure. Probably like between a 90%, 92, 93% on the right day, somewhere in there. I could see it being a top 10 favorite, comic book film of all time, but it's just, so weird to compare to, our usuals. But definitely worth seeing, definitely a great take here, I think. And I won't be surprised if the studio is desperate to somehow tie it into the new Robert Pattinson Batman stuff. I don't know. I'm not very excited about that. I'll see it. I'll remain open, but the Batman is it's probably the first Batman movie ever in my life that I'm not, overly excited for. But we'll see how it goes. We won't be surprised they're desperate to tie this in somehow, even though it wouldn't fully work or make sense. But yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.